Welcome to the online session, Writing Aims and Goals, SMARTAR for Primary. This session is aligned to the Australian curriculum. The intention of this session is to build on your current understanding of personalised learning as related to the students you teach. You will also develop an understanding of personalised aims and goals SMARTAR that align with the Australian curriculum. Spend a couple of minutes writing down your thoughts on what is personalised learning, what it means to you, and why do we personalise learning for the student. This case study provides detailed information about Max. This information will facilitate a personalised learning process and deepen your knowledge and understanding of personalisation as documented in a one plan. In this session, you will see a plan rationale, find appropriate curriculum alignments, and read aims and goals SMARTAR that were developed for Max. This diagram represents the cyclical nature of the personalised learning process. The student is at the centre of this process. We gather information about the student's strengths, interests, motivations and aspirations from the perspective of all relevant partners collaborating in the learning plan. We identify the student's learning needs by gathering evidence from systemic data, school assessments, allied health and other professional assessments, observational data and talking with the family. This information supports you to identify the learning priorities for the student, which are aligned to the Australian curriculum. This information will assist you to determine the required adjustments to curriculum, instruction and environment. Throughout this process, you will monitor and review goal achievement that will lead to determining a new goal. Through the personalisation process, the TEFL domains will inform decision-making about the adjustments, monitoring and planning new learning goals. We know personalised learning is a cyclic process with 4 key elements: assess and identify learning needs, consult and collaborate, provide adjustments to curriculum, instruction and environment, and monitor and review. As we personalise learning through the provision of adjustments, we are promoting inclusion and supporting achievement for every student. From this slide onwards, we will see an embedded example of a student, Max, through all relevant One Plan screens. These examples are from the Max exemplar, who is a Year 4 student. We can view the teacher's perspective about Max's strengths, interests, motivations, and the teacher's aspirations for Max. We also recommend collecting the student's own perspective along with the family's voice. You may practice documenting your own perspective about a student in your school setting who may benefit from personalised learning. When personalising learning, evidence needs to be gathered from a range of sources. Information can be sourced from assessment reports, your observations, anecdotal records, information from families, and summary reports. You will see in the Max exemplar that the summary informs the teacher that Max's communication is impacting on his social interactions. Max's teacher will use the information gathered to inform the learning priorities, aims and goals SMARTAR. You may practice documenting information about your student from multiple sources and one-plan screens. The plan rationale identifies the purpose for the plan that informs the direction of personalisation for the student. It is written with a strength-based approach to support students' engagement in learning that builds their capabilities and dispositions so they can achieve. It is written in concise and succinct language with a maximum 2 to 3 sentences. This slide will help you to record the student's learning needs in the plan rationale field with a strength-based approach. This example of the plan rationale identifies how the one plan will provide Max with the best opportunities and develop his skills as a learner. You may practice using the positive, strength-based approach to record the plan rationale for your student. The prompted text for the Australian curriculum from the blue tooltip is copied and pasted in the literacy, numeracy, social personal fields on the overview screen. The prompted text scaffolds you in outlining the curriculum information to develop aims and goals. You then identify the student's entry point, their current level of achievement, and the learning priority, focus for learning. The content descriptor informs the aim and subsequent goals. You will then record 3 to 5 growth points in the overview screen that will indicate the curriculum intent from the literacy, numeracy and social personal fields. If the student has communication needs, this may be documented in the communication field. For example, a non-verbal student whose preferred communication may be a communication board or assisted technologies. The information on the following 3 slides will assist you to recognise the steps undertaken for personalised learning with the Australian curriculum. This slide illustrates the process to inform designing, planning and assessment for all students. The prompted text on the overview screen guides the curriculum information required for each of the fields: literacy, numeracy, social, personal. Finding the curriculum entry point for a Year 4 student is determined by the student's achievement standard of Year 3. Where evidence indicates achievement at this level, the entry point for the student will be working within Year 4 achievement standard. The teaching and learning design in quality differentiated teaching practice is informed by the Australian curriculum and TEFL. A to E grades are assigned for each learning area at their year level. This slide illustrates the process to inform designing, planning and assessment for some students. Finding the curriculum entry point by determining the different year level achievement standard below or beyond the age appropriate year level. The teaching and learning design is informed by adjustment to the learning area focus to enable access, participation and achievement. Grades A to E are assigned at negotiated year level. Discussion needs to occur with parents, carers, guardian, when the student is working within a different year level achievement standard than their peers. This must be approved and signed by the parent, carer, guardian and recorded in the One Plan. This slide illustrates the process to inform designing, planning and assessment for a few students with a significant intellectual impairment. The teaching and learning design is based on a highly personalised learning focus. Alignment of a student's personalised learning goals may be working within foundation, reception year achievement standard. Where there is a highly personalised learning focus for a few students, there is no requirement for teachers to assign A to E grades. Achievement is reported against the learning goals and must be approved and signed by the parent, carer, guardian and endorsed in the One Plan. Personalising learning for Max involves establishing his identified learning needs. The range of evidence and consultation, including the perspective of his family, Max himself and his teacher, informs the identification of Max's learning priorities. In the case study of Max, Max's parents' perspectives included wanting him to develop his writing skills. The aim to support Max to become a more powerful writer meant that the teacher had to identify what Max could do and establish his entry point. The teacher determined that while Max was in Year 4, he hadn't achieved the capabilities, knowledge and skills he needed to have demonstrated in Year 3. By working back from Year 4 achievement level, it was determined Max had mostly achieved Year 1. As a result, his English learning priority area is working within the Year 2 achievement standard. Max's English learning priority is within the Year 2 achievement standard, and his identified need is to further develop his writing skills. This slide illustrates which part of the standard will be a focus for establishing the aim and subsequent goals SMARTAR. Refining the curriculum learning priority further involves identifying the strand and substrand within the English learning area. Once this has been established, the content description and/or elaboration from the substrand informs the aim. The general capabilities and cross-curriculum priorities may be used to inform the aim and subsequent goals SMARTAR. This slide brings together the previous slide's demonstration of how to establish Max's entry point and learning priority for English. This example demonstrates how the prompted text scaffolds the curriculum information in the literacy, numeracy and social personal fields. The growth points explicitly document the curriculum intent that are recorded in the learning priorities within the literacy, numeracy and social personal fields. It is recommended that the growth points be limited to 3 to 5, with at least 1 for each field. The content description and/or elaborations may support you to develop a broad aim. You may copy it as an aim and then personalise it to the student's context by editing it. The broad aim may be for the duration of an annual one plan, with short-term goals SMARTAR aligned to them. The aims are generally reviewed before the end of the school year. This slide shows some examples of aims and goals SMARTAR. You may take 3 to 5 minutes to read each and align each aim with a matching goal SMARTAR. Note the use of verbs in the wording of a goal SMARTAR, which inform an observable and measurable behaviour by the student. This graphic explains the acronym SMARTAR. The goal must identify a specific, observable, measurable behaviour. The goal must also be achievable and realistic, which means that it is relevant to the student's developmental level or the level where the student is consistently demonstrating achievement. It must be time-bound, agreed upon through consultation and reviewed within a set time frame. A template is provided to support you in the writing of a goal SMARTAR. You begin by naming the student as the one engaging in the action, followed by the observable and measurable action, behaviour. The next step is to specify the context or the conditions under which the action will be performed. That is, whether it will be independent or with adult support, and where will it happen. Setting a success measure is an important step of goal writing. Whether you will measure the action's accuracy, fluency, or transfer. This is followed by a time frame for the goal, which is between 5 to 10 weeks. A set time frame allows you to review the goal achievement as well as assess the efficacy of adjustments provided to support the student. This slide demonstrates a goal SMARTAR written with the support of the template. It explains what Max will do, where, when and how, what the indicators of his success are, and when the goal will be reviewed. Sometimes the goals are not achieved. This may happen if the aims and goals are not clearly aligned with each other and with the curriculum. If they are not set by examining the student's current level of achievement. If they are not relevant to the student's interests and aspirations. If the educator has not clearly identified the action or behaviour to be measured, and if the adjustments provided by you do not meet the student's needs. In summary, you can see that a consultative, collaborative process assists in the development of a rationale for a personalised one plan, identifies learning needs for the student and the entry point to the curriculum. This assists in determining the learning priorities, growth points, and the development of aims, goals, SMARTAR. Further steps include planning and implementing adjustments to the curriculum and/or instruction and/or environment, and determining staff to provide support. If at the start of this session you recorded what personalised learning means to you, you could revisit and review it. Reflect on what is confirmed for you, what you have learnt through the process of this session, and what else you would like to know. You may want to complete this session by making a commitment to at least one action that you will undertake to personalise learning for your student. Thank you for engaging with this session. We hope this enables you to write personalised aims and goals smarter for your students' One Plan. The following slides will guide you to additional resources from the department's intranet and contact details for the One Plan team.